Statutory Advocacy Update, page 107, Mr. Ide.
Yep. Again, one of our standing items for the Regional Planning Committee agendas. Not much has changed really since the last report late last year, other than I think one of the queries or questions arising from the Regional Planning Committee's discussion last time was an inquiry around how much has the Napier and Hastings district plan harmonisation gone? How far did they go? Short of interrogating Napier and Hastings themselves directly, one of my planning staff, Esther Amy Bate, has attempted to provide a snapshot in Appendix 3 or Attachment 3, setting out what Hastings and Napier had previously agreed was not within the scope of the harmonisation initiatives. And then in a more detailed table, there were 13 sort of particular items where harmonisation was certainly an intention. How much harmony there has been out the back end of public notification, submissions, hearings, respective councils' decisions, and now some things being subject to appeal, that's a whole lot of extra investigation and analysis that we haven't yet, and sort of a little bit hesitant to undertake at this point in time. If the query itself was just more out of curiosity, then that's it.
Rongamai Wahine, how much longer will that go on for?
Rongamai Wahine was an application initially for to recognise customer activities around the Mahia coastline. That was an application lodged through one of two alternative pathways. Initially it was through the High Court. The applicants have now parked that with the High Court's blessing, and they are following the other pathway, which is direct negotiations with the Minister. I do not have a crystal ball for that, timeframes around that one.
But it may shift it along.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my question. Any other questions? Statutory advocacy. Someone happy to move we accept that report then? Thank you, Councillor Pipe. We've seen it. Thank you, Councillor Belford. Further discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Waihi Dam. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to bore the councillors too much on this because I've had several rants in the past, but for the sake of Māori partners here, clearly everyone's really upset about what's happened at Waihi and the pollution, and more to that, the way that the company who have done this have treated us. It's my understanding that we're taking them to task. There is some farmer comment on the mitigation that is happening, that it's not appropriate. But the two questions that I have, and I've would like you to put in the back of your mind because I want answers on, and that is, what was Eastland's silt mitigation policy before this? Second question is, do the directors it's actually 3 or 4 questions. What another one is, what was their maintenance policy, what was their capex spend over the last decade on this dam, and subsequent to that, and depending on what that information is, what is directors' liability for the damage that has been occurred here? I don't want to talk too much about it because this is an Alan's Ruhi, and with your permission, he'd like to have just a couple of words to say on it as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councillor Rex, for that embracement around that. As you already know, our place is a bastion and a beautiful place up around there, right through Wairua, through Whakaki, right up to Waikaremona. That is just not a place where we must look after it. There's a lot of projects that's been happening up through that catchment regarding the longfin native species eels. I monitor it ourselves. A lot of us do it in our own time. And the healthiness and the supremeness is a good framework for our council to have a look up in that place. It hasn't changed much. It's just a lot of the policies around it need to be a bit more rigorous around it. My problem around it is we have a treaty settlement ready to be signed off in March, and we'll be working with the council around the statutory acknowledgements to that awa. And regarding the headwaters in Wairau, regarding the Mātangere board to be accepted, but we have a big problem higher up in that catchment, and even ko Puāwhara, like Mr Chair knows, the practices of what these guys are doing around there and the kind of plans they need to be putting in place to protect that prestige environment up there seems to amaze me at times. I actually swim and go fishing around that area, and it was the time of the year our whole community of Hawke's Bay enjoys that area of prestigeness, and even we swim around those areas, and to see that kind of thing happen, you know, there's got to be some seriously questions asked regarding the operation of that dam, because that waterfall where a lot of people see and where it is, there are a lot of huge wāhi tapus, there are a lot of cultural aspects to those water, and especially the little guys we all swim with, those invertebrates, the long whaneo tuna. We understand we've got a lot of trout that come up through there, but it's all those little guys that contribute to keeping it prestige. It's just a catastrophic disaster. And with our settlement claim coming forward, it puts us up in a dilemma. Are we going to inherit a lemon? Or but do we have to protect that? But I would like to see a good push from our councillors here and our group to see to these guys to be accounted for that disaster. Thank you, Chair.
Kia ora, well done. And thank you, Councillor Graham. Right, oh, well, short meeting's a good one. It wasn't quite the case today, but declare the meeting closed, and thank you all very much for your participation. Thank you.